What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Empowered Dynasty, and I'm your boss, Q the Boss. Today's topic is love. Love is a powerful word. See, the reason why I want to talk about love today is because I had a conversation with a few people this week, and it gave me the content. You know, one of my good friends is going through a divorce, and the whole time I've noticed him and his wife, they've been spending time trying to change each other, opposed to accepting each other. See, love accepts. Not saying there aren't red flags or breaking points where people should separate, but love don't force change. See, there's a reason why you fell in love with that person, and I explained to this guy the whole time, there was a reason. You fell in love with your ex or your soon-to-be ex because of reasoning. See, in life, people can outgrow each other also. And I've noticed, you know, society pushed separation more than togetherness. But it's an agenda. The agenda is hindering families from growing and having great structure. Having structure with anything you do in life ultimately push you or help you get to higher levels at anything you do. When there's no structure, people just freelance. Everything has to have structure. Look at it as a blueprint of building a construction site. Everything has to be done in stages, so therefore this building will stand strong and be completed. The same thing with your life. So as I talked to this guy about love, he couldn't really understand that. He kept trying to force the change, and so was she. They're forcing each other to be what they wanted their mate to be. I feel like a lot of people in society today, they have unrealistic expectations of what a relationship look like. You know, some women look at life or our relationship as a fairy tale. And some men look for women with the perfect attributes as far as physical attributes, body parts. Not looking at the mental aspect. See, even over time, when things fade, the mindset will always be the successor. You know, it's just what it is. People put on weight, things change, sex appeal don't look the same, but the mentality is the most sexiest thing. A true woman or a true man, they're more enticed by mentality more than physicality. But nowadays, more people are enticed by physicality more than mentality. See, I always tell people the rule of dating is dating someone who's basically the person you see yourself futurely being. They're there, or they're going towards that way. For instance, if you meet someone who parties a lot, they're not really focused on their future. But let's say you are. Right now you're in a fun stage, but you are working on your future. What happens is at some point, you'll hit a pinnacle and you'll be like, wait, it can't be about this fun thing anymore. But yet and still now you're trying to force the mate to change, but initially that's what brought you guys together, was the fun. So what I'm trying to get at is, when you're dating, look for someone who's moving towards what you're trying to get to. So therefore you're dating your future self. So even if you're like at a level lower, the person can be at a level higher, but you know you want to be eventually at that level. It's a plus. So sometimes we date down, not saying dating down because of economics, mentality. See, mentality again is not a financial status. I've met poor people with great mentalities. I've met rich people with poor mentalities. What I mean as far as their outlook on life. Economics is just a financial status, but mentality means more. Most poor people think poor. That's why they have poor results. So again, if you go into a relationship with a mentality that things can never be good, they're never going to be good because you already told yourself they weren't going to be good. So now you're only getting what you expected out of the relationship. But love holds no mental ledger of what you've done wrong. Most people in society today hold ledgers. January 1st, 2021, he said this to me. February 6th of 2021, she did this to me. And ultimately, this kills your relationship. What I'm getting at is, when you love someone, you spend more time accepting their flaws, and then you work on trying to be what they aren't. Because opposites attract for a reason. They speak of the yin and the yang. There's a reasoning why two people come around with totally different outlooks on life. Because that person that thinks opposite from you might bring out great things in you that you didn't see in yourself, because you may have been in a box, and vice versa for yourself. So you want to deal with a person that's kind of not exactly like you, but morally like you. Principles, integrity, respect. You know, I always hear people say this, and I want to go on record and say this. They say date a man that's like your father. And they say date a woman who is like your mother. I want to go into this a little bit more in depth. The other day, a lady told me she want a man that loves me like my father loves me. I looked her in her face and I said, that's a myth. She said, what do you mean? I said, I truly doubt a man can love you as much as your father, a good father. I'm not talking about a bum father, a good father. The reason being is no one could love me or love my child the way I love my child. I doubt a man can come along and love my daughter more than me. I doubt it. I doubt a woman can come along and love me more than my mom. I'm talking about a good mother, a good father. So society tells us today we should date someone that loves us as much as our father. That's not real. Because a parent's love is like no other. A real parent, we're talking about real parents. I doubt a man's gonna ever love my daughter to the magnitude I love her. Because if a man can love my daughter more than me, even if my daughter does wrong or my son does wrong, I will always accept him as my child. And I won't chastise him. My love will persevere through every adversity that we go through for my children. So if a man can do that, meaning every blemish, every mistake, everything my child does and loves her, I doubt he's gonna love her to the magnitude I love her. So again, it's impossible for a man to love you to the magnitude of your great father. What you should do is look at him as a blueprint of what a man is, if your dad was a good father, and use those qualities in choosing your mate. That's what you're supposed to do. Not date a man that loves you like your dad. When I hear people say that, I'm like, that don't even make sense. It don't. Because any real mother knows for a fact a woman that comes into their son's life could never love him like your mother loved you. Never. And it's just what it is. Because it's a parent's love, it's different. So you can't compare a relationship to a parent's love. They're not the same thing. You understand? So long story short, as I was telling this guy, you know, I'm looking at the divorce rate and I'm seeing how high the divorce rate is. And I'm telling them it's an agenda. You know, the agenda is separation and it's working. You know, men feel like they don't need women. Women feel like they don't need men. To the magnitude that these conversations are regurgitated so much that it's starting to be embedded in the next generation's minds. That the women feel like they don't need men and the men feel like they don't need women. That's crazy. You know, I had a conversation with a woman the other day. She told me, I don't want a man to help me raise my child. I can raise my child by myself. And I'm gonna go on record and say something truthful. That is very selfish. To think that it's okay for you just to raise your child by yourself, not by circumstances, but by choice. That's not a good thing. Because me growing up with a single mother, I had a lot of issues. And my issues weren't like as transparent because I held back a lot of the issues I had, such as abandonment, such as, you know, I didn't respect men because I never had a reason to respect a man, because a man never was adamant or prominent in my life. So it never mattered to me. So for a person to say you're gonna raise your child by yourself, maliciously or intently, I don't think that's a good thing. You know, society needs to learn that men need women and women need men. It's just how it is. We need each other, especially when it comes to co-parenting. Whether you and this person decided to separate or not, you have to learn a way to co-parent. I think the truest love of your child, for any parent, the truest love is respecting that your child's parent regardless of what you and that person's been through. That's true love. If you tell me you love your son and you know this woman is his mother and he loves her more than anything, more than life itself, your objective is to, regardless of what she is or what she ain't, is to respect and love her or have respect for her because you love your child. And vice versa. A woman should look at her child's father and say, at one point, we cared about each other when we were intimate. And now I love my child so much that I'm willing to respect his mother or her mother because of the fact that I love my child. Society don't do that anymore. Everything is a war. It's a battle of the sexes. You know, a lot of people don't understand that child support is also a business. They have no clue about that. You know, if you take a man who has absolutely nothing, ladies, you burn him all the way to the ground, you're only killing your child's father. Think about that. And vice versa for you men. Men, you love your child so much that you burn their mother to the ground, whether verbally or physically. You can never love your child. You know, my son and me, we have discussions all the time. You know, I've been raising him alone for years, and I tell him all the time, I love you so much that no matter what, I will always have respect for your mother. And that's true love for your child. But I feel like today, we're taught, let's clash, let's go to war. Not saying, you know what, we didn't work out, right? But that doesn't mean that you're a bad father. That doesn't mean you're a bad mother. Let's go on record and say this. Some people don't know how to be good parents. Some men don't know how to be good fathers. Some women don't know how to be good mothers. They never had examples. So when it comes to the word love, they really don't understand love. Some people are only showing the love that they were taught. They don't know what love really is. So you look at it as it's common sense, but it ain't common sense when it was never taught. Common sense is common sense when it's taught. Most people redo what they were taught. It's called programming. As the mind is programmed, the mind will ultimately do what it's programmed to do, just like a computer. If your computer is designed to spit out numbers, your computer is going to spit out numbers. If this person was only taught numbers, they're going to only spit out numbers. So let's change the whole love standpoint from a totality standpoint. Let's show each other how to love again, how to respect again, and understand love is accepting. Love is not forcing someone to be what you want them to be. That's not love. Look at the logic. My son, big guy, about 6'2". I've always wanted him to play football. But look what I just said. I've always wanted him to play football. When I look back, my son didn't want to play football. I used to try to convince him to play football because I wanted him to play football. One day my son said to me, Dad, I really don't like football. He tried out for the team. He said, Dad, I don't like it. I looked at him and said, but I really want you to play. You're a big guy. At that moment, I realized that I was being selfish. I was forcing him to do something I wanted him to do based on his size. Not understanding that it wasn't in his heart. It wasn't a passion. He didn't care for it. So when I look back, I said to myself now, I said, one day he came home, he said, you could see the unhappiness in his face. So I said to my son, I said, what is the reasoning that you don't want to play? He looked at me and said, Dad, I just have no feeling for it. I don't care about it. I said, so what are you into? He said, I'm into animation. I like anime. And I said, okay, so you don't want to play no more football? He said, no. At that moment, the love I had for my son was me blocking out my idea of what I wanted him to be. And I had to learn to accept he was who he is and he wants to become who he wants to be. As long as he's a productive citizen, not running around here stealing, going in and out of jail, I had to accept him. And then the love I've had for him, or still have for him, allowed me to do that. So what I'm trying to say is love is accepting. Love is kind, love is pure, love is patient. A lot of people need to learn what love really is and stop forcing people to think the way they think about love. When you love somebody, you respect them. Regardless of difference, the best true story of love and proof of love is two people getting into a discussion, right? And at the end of the conversation, they agree to disagree. That is the true essence of love. So let's say you say A, I say B, but in the end, we respect each other's opinion. That's love. So the society now says, if it's not your opinion from my mouth, you don't want to hear me, or you don't want to respect my words. Again, to agree to disagree is a very conscious state, because it says that I just don't agree with what you're saying. But I respect you enough and love you enough that I hear you out. So let's start listening to each other again. Let's start loving on each other again. Let's stop forcing our beliefs on each other. You understand? And I want to tell this last story. There was a female, and a woman rather, and she said to me one time, at the end of the day, every man is the same. I said, what makes you say that? She said, because of my experiences. I said, to put everyone inside of a box is very selfish. In the whole totality of this conversation, I said, maybe you are attracted to a certain kind of guy. That's why you got a certain kind of result. And when I said that to her, she went on a defense of, oh, you trying to blame me for how people treated me. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm blaming you for the fact that every guy you may have liked or lusted over probably has similar qualities that you couldn't see. See, here's the truth. When you outside looking for love, a lot of the times you shouldn't look for love. Love is supposed to find you, one. Secondly, you cannot find love if you don't love yourself. So being in love with oneself will ultimately allow someone else to love you. But how can someone love you when you don't even love yourself? And that's the reality. So I told her, stop looking for love. Let love find you. The right person for you will come into your life. But the problem is, we think that person looks a certain way. We think the person drives a certain kind of car. We think this person make a certain kind of money. We think they have a certain kind of educational level. See, again, the person that loves you will be the person that always accepts you and respects you and do not force you to be who they want you to be. They accept you for who you are. Don't let that go over your head. Listen, guys, like, subscribe, share the YouTube channel, and also follow me on Instagram at QTheBoss516. Till next time, don't let that go over your head.